I'm Christoffer Willén. I'm 29 years old and I'm an actor here in Stockholm. Originally though, I'm from the south of Sweden. I moved to Stockholm about 10 years ago and started studying law. I got my Masters of Law back in 2015, and about a month after that I realized I did not want to work at all as a lawyer. I had a good friend of mine who was doing a year abroad down in Mexico. Not knowing what to do in Mexico is a lot better than being stuck here in Sweden not knowing what to do. I traveled down to him and we spent about half a year in Monterrey, and then I came back to Sweden and I realized that nothing had changed and I still didn't want to work as a lawyer and I still didn't know what to do. So I did what anybody in my situation would do. I called my dad and I said, "Hey Dad, I don't know what to do." And he goes, "Well, that's okay, Chris, because I know exactly what you're going to do." I said, "Okay, tell me." He said, "You're going to become an actor." Since then, I managed to get the 2 years of acting at Kalle Flyga Theatre School, and I have since been pursuing my acting career here, and I wouldn't do anything else, to be honest. When it comes outside of this whole business that is acting and entertainment is my mother and father, both of whom I have the privilege of calling my best friends. I don't look up to them in the sense that they have achieved anything within the business that I am in. They managed to succeed in their own field of work. At the same time, they managed to create a very, very loving and caring environment for me and my brothers, which in turn made us go out and pursue whatever we want in this world. And they continue to be ever supporting of us. And so that's a lot where I take my inspiration from. I mean, it sounds cliche, it does, but I would love to play a Bond villain. Christoffer Willén, the Bond villain. Just sounds right. Other than that, I love to play the more mysterious, sort of darker, thriller, kind of psychological thriller roles. Any part that Jake Gyllenhaal has played the last decade, or more specifically Matthew McConaughey when he plays detective in the first season of True Detective. I'd probably say is the amount of patience that you're not told that you have to have before entering the business. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of ambition. It takes a lot of networking before you can actually manage to land some roles and in turn land other roles and learn how the industry works, how to meet people, how to connect with the right people in order to get to the point where you want to be. Ideally, I'd be sitting in a small stone cabin somewhere in Ireland, preferably, a country with a lot of rain, just like this one. I'd be writing a lot, books, manuscripts, and every once in a while I would take my big Bernese mountain dog that I currently have. We'd go for walks, and I'd probably drop him off at a neighbor's house before, jetting off to another set for shooting movies or a TV series or even just a local play around there somewhere. I'd be doing a little bit of everything, but with a couple of books published under my belt and hopefully a few appearances on the screen here and there. That's where I'd be. Would be my ambition and my talent. And I think they overlap with each other to the point where one won't get you anywhere, but in combination, the two will take you exactly where you want to go. I would probably try my best to become an author or something that gives me an opportunity to create a place where I can, or a workplace where I can actually make use of all my creativity and my fantasy that is always running around in my head. This is actually a very interesting question because I've been on the Swedish version of Survivor, so I actually I got to take with me a snorkel at the time, but the three things that I wanted to bring was a fire starter, a knife, and a deck of cards. Now though, after having spent my 40-something days on the island, and given that I would be there without anybody else, so it would just be me, myself, and I would probably bring the longest or the thickest and most boring book I could find, because that would keep me occupied to the point where I'd actually, start considering reading it. And once I start reading it, you know, eventually it'll take me such a long time to read it, I'll probably float away somewhere in my mind whilst reading it. So I won't actually finish it. There will always be parts of the book that I can't remember or that I, you know, think I haven't read. So in that sense, I keep myself occupied for a very, very long time. So I had just graduated from theater school. I was ready to take on the world. I was going to be the next big thing, and it was going to happen like that. So I get, you know, and at this point I'm taking whatever jobs I can get. It doesn't matter if they're paying, if it's some, you know, where I'm just a person in the crowd getting paid $5 for a whole day. I just want to be at the place where they're filming stuff, right? So I can network, so I can connect with people and possibly get my shoe through the door. And so I'm at this big sort of Netflix kind of TV series thing, and it's this big pool party. I'm 25 at the time, and they cast me as like, okay, you're going to be the older, cool guy who comes and crashes the party. It's like, fine, I thought, you know, I was going to get some screen time and everything. Turns out that wasn't the case at all. Instead, they hand me a carton of cigarettes, and they go like, are you willing to smoke for this role? If not, we can find somebody else. And at that time, I'm like, of course I'm going to smoke. I would do whatever you hand me as long as, you know, I can be a part of this production. What I don't realize at the time is that, you know, for every scene we're going, I'm going through a full cigarette, and we ended up doing 27 retakes. Needless to say, I was not feeling very well towards the end of that scene. The rain started coming in. It was late summer, so it was getting chilly. We had been there since 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was now about 1 o'clock at night. So I was feeling pretty down, you know, down under. And it was at that point, sort of on the bus ride home, I was seeing with these other people who didn't have the same ambition. They didn't want to make it in the industry. They were just happy to be a part of something, you know. They had other jobs and they were doing other stuff on the side. And I was just, you know, this little guy with hopes up to here, ambitions up to here, and a very, very nauseous feeling in my whole body trying, you know, to keep it in from not vomiting all over the bus. That was sort of when I hit rock bottom in terms of my career moment downs. But next week I got a lead in a short movie, and it did not involve smoking cigarettes, and it actually turned out to be one of the most fun, you know, filmings I've ever done. So, you know, there are a lot of highs and lows in this industry, especially when you start your career. But I think it's important to remember that, you know, in any career, you always start at the bottom and then you work your way up, and you can only really lose as soon as you give up. So as long as you don't give up, then you're fine. What's the difference between a good joke and a bad joke timing?